environment that you grew up in has shaped your choice and what to specialize on? Like,
Um, yeah, I think that I was always really interested in thinking about the way that people think. Um, and I was really interested in history. For me feels like one big story.
mhm,
Um, and I think that also I grew up um, pretty like, I don't know, sheltered, I think, in many ways. And I think that that sort of happens sometimes naturally with the way that, I went to private school. Like I was just, I don't think I was very, there was like sort of one framework of thinking that was presented to me. Um,
okay.
and I think I find it really interesting to like look beyond that. And also I was just always a curious person. I do
Hmm.
think that's what my school sort of fostered in me was curiosity. Um, and I also think that like in some ways I'm really interested in the things that we hold or understand to be true. Like the things that I feel are without a shadow of a doubt true may not be true for someone else.
Okay.
Um, and kind of like just I just think I through studying what I'm studying, I think I you kind of end up challenging a lot of the ways that you think about the world,
Yeah. You question a
obviously.
lot of things. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think um I've always just been like interested in that, right? Um for a long time. But I don't know how exactly my environment has shaped what I study or what I because again it's like my environment. So I'm not sure how it would be different from anybody else's. I'm not sure if it's just me that I just love doing this and this is what I really like to do, or if it was my environment that brought it out in me and what exactly what mechanisms did bring it out in me. But like, I don't know. It's obviously it's maybe a mixture of both, but I think it was. I think my school in many ways like fostered curiosity,
Hmm.
but yeah, I'm not really sure. You know how I ended up here, but
Nice. Um, the next question is, what social institution do you like, do you think has shaped the choice? But so I know that is kind of similar to the previous question, but
mm-hmm.
talking about, so in this class we have studied about the different institutions that we have in society, like family, education,
Mm,
economy, as as an institution, as like
yeah,
I don't know how to define that, but I think that you get it, right?
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so um, how do you think that like this choice, like maybe any institution, um, has shaped this? Like maybe your family is really like in your decisions, or is more about something, maybe education. For what you told me, I guess that it could be like more about education, right? Like you're always
Yeah,
curious and you question things and you would like to find these answers and to have like a research around these different and new themes, like
yeah,
in Latin America and all that stuff.
yeah. I think also my mom always said to me to do something that you're really interested in. Like do something that she's like, have jobs that feel fulfilling to you, that are that are gonna make you curious, that are gonna make
Okay.
you interested. So I think, I mean, I go to a liberal arts school. I think the sort of pathways that I've brought myself on are sort of in that vein, where it's not so much um, thinking about uh, money, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest, but it's more like, what am I curious about?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think in my parents kind of fostered that in me, in my school too.
Okay.
Um, and my parents placed a big emphasis on education,
Okay.
um, and being a curious person and thinking about the world and being like present in it.
Mm-hmm.
That makes
Mm-hmm.
sense.
Totally.
Being aware of sort of the global goings ons and not like in your own little bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think that definitely sort of led me to what I wanted to study.
Okay. Yeah, it's really nice. Like to, I found very interesting the fact that you study something that encourage your curiosity and it's not about money. Because if you chase money, it's like maybe you're not gonna be as interested as if you chase something that makes you question new things. So I
Yeah.
think that is really interesting and it's like something that everyone should do. And the last question is, how do you think that your specialization, the career you're on, it's going to be interrelated or it's going to interact with other fields in society? Like,
Other fields in society. Do you mean like after college? Um,
yeah, like talking about the different, uh, or like according to these institutions like family, education, economy,
mhm.
um, how is your specialization going to be interrelated with society? Like what impact could that uh, how can your specialization can impact on society?
I see. Yeah. And is that kind of related to like what field am I thinking of going into? Like what am I thinking of doing um after I graduate with my major?
Maybe not that like not being so specific on a
Mm-hmm.
specific field of your profession, but more
Mm-hmm.
in society, like maybe my research gonna help develop something on society or on schools. How are you gonna
Uh,
interact with what you
yeah,
are studying right now?
yeah, totally. Okay. I think um I don't know. That's kind of a hard question to
Yeah,
answer.
it is.
Um, because I have no idea what I'm gonna end up doing. Um, I think I would hope though that, oh gosh, it's like, I'm not really sure the way exactly like what it's like what institutions would I affect
Yeah,
and what like
kind of.
what given my like major choice, like the thing that I'm studying,
Yeah,
um what is sort of like what institutions are related to my major, kind of in a sense
yeah,
of like,
yeah,
yeah.
kind of.
Um, I think obviously it's education, right? That's the obvious choice because it's like um,
Hmm.
the study of history and the
Yeah.
study of sociology and psychology,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
they're all constantly developing fields. You know what I mean? It's
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah,
it's the acquiring of more knowledge and doing more
totally.
studies.
Yeah, research.
Um, yeah, research. Um, and I think that so I think education is kind of the obvious choice there, and the educational system.
Like,
Um,
would you like to focus on the education field or?
I think honestly, what is fascinating for me to kind of think about um, is projects of like international development um,
Interesting.
in countries that I think it's interesting to think about because on the one hand, you have sort of a very ugly history of US involvement. And do I want to contribute to that in any way? Absolutely not. So do I feel like I'm the right person to think about projects that to go into developing countries and think about projects that would perhaps help um, these countries are sort of like a I don't know, but
Nice.
I was talking to um, a friend of mine or a friend of mine's dad who works at the World Bank, um,
Okay.
and he does a lot with women and gender issues in South America, um, in Argentina, especially I think, and um, but really all over the world too. And I found it fascinating how each solution is unique because of the culture
Mm-hmm.
that exists there. And so it's each solution has to be nuanced in order to properly solve the problem, right? So if we're talking about institutions, if you're working in international development, you have to look at all the institutions that exist within that society. How does family function? How does education function?
Mm-hmm.
In order to properly present a solution that would perhaps help and work. Because just because something works somewhere does not mean it's going to work somewhere
Yeah,
else.
everywhere. Yeah,
Yeah.
culture. It's a
Um,
major impact. Yeah.
yeah. And I think it requires like a very um, the coming together of a lot of disciplines, sociology, psychology, history, you
Yeah.
know. Um,
So that's nice because we can say that it's interrelated, you know. So
yeah,
everything.
right. And so I think what I'm studying feels exactly that, very interrelated. Because when we're looking at history, we're looking at the way that families function, the way that education
Yeah.
functions. And when we're studying psychology, we're doing the same thing in sociology. Like you're looking and comparing the way that different institutions shape a society. And so in my field of study, it feels like, well, all of them is the answer.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I think that I think that's probably the best answer I can give you right now.
Thank you very much. It was really, really nice to talk to you, to have this podcast, and thank you for all your answers. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you so
Okay.
much, Caroline.
All right.